The education landscape is constantly evolving. Staying ahead of the trends is essential. Welcome to Ed Buzz LA County, where we explore groundbreaking initiatives, inspiring stories, and innovative practices shaping the future of learning here in Southern California. Today we're going to talk about the rise in esports. It is a billion-dollar industry and why schools nationwide are setting up their own programs. I'm Elizabeth Braswich, Executive Director of Public Affairs and Communications, and I'm joined now by Dr. Chris Hoang, LACOE's Interim Assistant Director of Technology, Innovation, and Outreach. Also joining us is Alvaro Brito, STEAM Administrator with the Compton Unified School District. Welcome to both of you.
Oh, thanks for having us here too, Elizabeth.
So I'm pretty excited about today's conversation. About a year ago, I had the pleasure of visiting Little Rock High School, and I went into a classroom, and it was an esports classroom, and it was the first time I even knew that was a thing in education and in school districts. So Chris, can you tell me a little bit about esports and what it is?
Yeah, so I think esports, the name implies E is for electronic sports. And so esports has actually been around since the early 70s. And I think the first time there's a competition was with a bunch of students from Stanford playing a video game, competing for a subscription to Rolling Stone magazine. And since then, it's just continued to evolve. I think a lot of us growing up, the term we will have heard is video game competition. Mm-hmm. And now it's just finally falling under one giant umbrella of esports, kind of like how basketball, football, all that falls under a sports umbrella. We're now doing with esports, and having so many different types of video game competitions fall under that umbrella. And I think when you look at the big picture with esports, it's a lot more inclusive because you're getting games from something simple as chess as an esports all the way to Valorant right now, which is the big trend in esports competitions. And schools are realizing it's a great way of bringing students back to the classroom to, one, increase their attendance, two, engage students who may not be interested in the traditional sports, and three, actually learn about the behind the scenes of what esports can include, whether that's social media management, whether that's project planning. It shows the students so many different opportunities now that schools are realizing students can make careers out of this, and universities are starting to find scholarship money for it. I mean, we're in Los Angeles, and Cal State Dominguez has an esports program. If you go a little bit further south, UC Irvine was the first one in California to start up an esports lab. So it's been at the collegiate level. It's finally trickling down to the K-12 sector, which I'm super happy about and super excited about.
You know, and as a parent, I had two boys that spent an awful lot of time in their rooms on gaming. And I remember thinking as a parent, like, is this an okay thing? And for now, for to be a part of school, it's just so interesting to me. And so, Alvaro, you have set up a pretty amazing program at Compton Unified. Can you tell us a little bit about why you got it started and what your program looks like?
Sure. You know, I definitely want to thank the school board and the superintendent, our CTO, and our Senior Director of Educational Technology to bringing this to Compton Unified School District. I think with starting an esports program, it really takes a lot of collaboration with different departments to make sure it's done effectively. We started with just our 4 high schools. We got the students in one room and a multi-purpose room, and we started with esports with an Overwatch tournament. From there, it has grown into having esports at all of our middle schools. And also we're delving into the K-8 sphere as well. We've also had esports in our STEAM camps during the summer. So our students in the lower grades are also doing Minecraft esports, which was very successful. And we had a lot of students attending summer school because they were excited to come to STEAM camp. So there's different ways and modalities that we're able to bring esports to Compton Unified. And I think one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to bring this program is to provide an opportunity for our scholars to also look at what Chris mentioned, different types of STEAM pathways that esports can open up. Bringing that awareness to our students that esports, absolutely, you know, the competition part of it is amazing and the students love competing and participating, but we also provide a safe space where the students could also grow emotionally, right? So socio-emotional learning aspect behind esports, the collaboration piece, the communication piece, bringing awareness to different types of careers that esports can bring up, right? So I think that's a great opportunity that, we're very excited to bring and continue to expand in Compton Unified School District.
Well, and what are you hearing from the students? What's their feedback?
Oh, our students love it. On the end of every single tournament, we will go ahead and give them a student survey just to give us a little bit of feedback, right? What's going on? Did you enjoy the program? How can we improve the program? How can we make it better? And, students always respond as in, wow, this was an amazing opportunity. I want to participate again next year. For our graduating seniors, there's all the opportunities in the collegiate level to participate in esports, but, our students love it. But what's very, something that opened my eyes about esports is that a lot of students responded as, yeah, I am interested in one of these different types of esports career pathways. I want to learn more. So we offer a game design pathway at Compton Unified. We have, we're trying to build a cohesive program for esports where students could also practice shoutcasting, streaming, video and audio producing as well. So we're trying to make it very comprehensive so students are exposed to these skill sets and, open their eyes that, hey, this could be an avenue for a career in the future.
And I think one of the things that we talk about a lot now is social emotional learning and, students' mental health and how we're connecting with kids. And so what are you seeing related to the connections being made, how it impacts social emotional health with your kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in terms of opening up esports as a safe space where students could compete is one way that we're trying to address the connectedness to the school. So students feel like they're part of a program that they're heavily invested in. We've seen an increase in students' attendance and academic performance, and just wanting to be part of something. Something that really excites me is seeing students wearing their cool shirts, which is our Compton Unified Esports League. They're very proud of that. That shows that, hey, this is something that I'm part of and I'm proud of it. But, and part of the curriculum that we have for our esports program, not only in the after school program, but also in our esports elective, we try to address some of the different issues with gaming. Specifically the toxicity that you could hear sometimes. A lot of parents are very worried about, possibly not having their students game because of the things that they've seen or heard about gaming online. So in our programs, we try to address that by making sure that students all take a pledge to try to be an upstander and try to prevent these type of toxicities from continuing, but also teaching them about it, how to address it, how to, if a student gets upset because, they didn't win that game, how are some of the social emotional learning controls that they have to be aware of? How can they address that as well? So there's a lot of different coaching techniques that we try to have our students do. And we train our coaches so they could be effective in that as well.
Yeah, and I think with the esports, it's very similar to traditional sports. When I have a coach, I remember when I used to run track, my coach would say, hey, you need to talk to them about how you're feeling, what you're doing, yes, and why it made you feel the way you did. So it translates over really well to esports. And I feel like with esports, based on everything I've seen, even my own experiences, there's a huge community where you can get support where, let's say I'm going to school, I'm playing with a lot of friends, but then I get home and sometimes, I had a bad day with one of my friends. I can join a Discord server. I can play another game and talk to people there. And you build relationships where you can communicate and people will give you really good advice and positive advice on how to interact. Like I know for me, one time I had a really bad day. I logged in and my online friends that I've been playing games with, they're like, hey, don't worry about it. Tomorrow's a new day. If you really feel like this again tomorrow, talk to them. And they would coach me on what I could say or what I should be saying to help engage with the people I was having difficulty with. And I think that's one of the cool things about esports is there's a huge community where we can build on each other and support each other. And I know we've talked about we're in a global age, we're in a global citizen age where everyone's connected across the globe. And we need to maximize it and make value out of it. And if we're going to build relationships across the globe, then we can help build each other up across the globe.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I think that may be one of the misperceptions around video gaming or even esports because people think of it as a person and a computer, but it is a community. And so I'm assuming that with these teams, there's also that same sense of team and camaraderie that you see in maybe more traditional sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know they talk about you have an esports elective and after school club. A lot of the esports on schools bring people together. So they're not gaming at home by themselves in front of a computer by themselves. They're actually in a room with others. They're talking to each other. They're strategizing. They're communicating. They're building the skills necessary to be great adults. They're building a lot of soft skills when they're in these rooms together. because without those soft skills, I mean, they won't be as successful after school. And our goal as educators is we want people to be successful after school is beyond just the, reading, writing, math. It's how do we connect with people? And I know esports has been great for building that up.
Well, and one of the other things that came out of the pandemic is this spotlight on the digital divide. And, LACOE certainly has done a lot around that. I know Compton has done a lot around that. So how can esports support equity in schools and access for and help with that equity issue?
I think the very first thing I can think of, growing up, I was not a very athletic kid myself. I had asthma. I couldn't play a lot of different sports because if I played it, then my asthma might flare up, or I might not be as gifted as somebody else athletically. Whereas with esports equity, anyone can pick up a game, anyone can pick up a remote controller, and they have different ways to adapt controllers. So even if you have you might not have full use of your limbs, they do have remote controls where you can still engage and play and participate, or you might just be able to talk to it and have it command through your voice. So it builds up that equity really quickly where people feel like they belong. And it's not, I don't feel excluded because I can't maybe throw a baseball or fast enough, or I can't catch the ball. Whether this is like I can pick up the skills, and then if I have a coach, they can coach me and build me up and help me do really well in that game.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to echo that, I think one of the real reasons why I'm so invested in esports is because myself, like Chris, we're gamers, and being part of something, being part of a group, to really connect with, creates that atmosphere where you feel like you belong, right? And I think a lot of our students in our esports programs feel like, hey, I belong into something great. In terms of equity, we're trying to open esports up to any student who wants to participate, right? We don't say, well, this is just a male-dominated game or female, so we can't accept any players. It's open to all. And as we continue to grow our program, we're trying to, erase that equity issue of, well, only certain students are going to have access to it. We're trying to make this comprehensive enough where any student who wants to participate in eSport can. And, it just takes some time to build. It takes building strategic partnerships as well to make this happen, right? So I think that's something that I definitely want to emphasize with the esports program is, building these strong partnerships, the collaboration between different departments at a district is key.
Well, and Chris mentioned before, we're so lucky to be in LA County where we have access to so many people that can provide those partnerships. Right. One of the other things is, we've talked about social-emotional learning, we've talked about engagement, but there's also like real skills that students are learning. So what are some of those skills that they can learn from esports and take on to college and careers?
There was a study done by Harvard several years ago, and it actually correlated to people who play video games and they run what we call guilds or clans and how successful they'll be in the business world. And they showed there is a huge correlation because you're developing those quick thinking skills. You're developing decision-making, delegation, communication skills. You're developing all the skills necessary to be successful in the workforce. You're developing the skills that build that confidence in you so that when you see something, rise up, if there's a fire to put out, from start to finish, what you need to do. You can go, okay, I need someone to do this, I need that person to do this, and I need to do this. And it takes care of all those skills. So they're developing a lot of the communication skills that we wouldn't otherwise develop because of what esports is being able to do.
Absolutely. I think in terms of the skills that students get, I'm reminded of a exercise that we train our coaches to do, which is the blindfold exercise where, we'll blindfold the student that's actually controlling the game, and the student next to them will actually communicate and let them know exactly what they need to do, right? Being an effective communicator is key to win matches, but also in life. Additionally, the students need to learn how to collaborate, right? How to work together, how to review their plays in the end of the match to improve and learn from their mistakes as well. Also, if students are interested in let's say a STEAM pathway to esports, we provide game design pathways, audio visual pathways. If students want to be a streamer or even shoutcaster and practice those skill sets, esports provides those avenues so they can practice that as well.
Well, and so, you think about careers and you go, okay, there's gaming, there's computer science, but then there's a lot of other things that are around it, right? Around marketing and some of the other things that your students are learning. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's, our ultimate goal is to make esports a student-run and student-led initiative where students are really putting in the production and putting in our tournaments at Compton Unified. So, we've had conversations with our students, and they're very excited. They want to take ownership of this program because it's something that means a lot to them, and they want to see it grow. I've had a student council for esports, and they provided a lot of feedback on what they want to see in the next steps of getting our esports program to be one of our premier programs to the district. And it does require, again, those strategic partnerships to get them involved. But eventually we want to make sure that students get those skills on how to market their tournament, how to run their tournament, how to get it and put it all together so it could be truly a student-run initiative.
Yeah, for esports, everything you would think for a traditional sports journalism, broadcasting, there's a correlation on the esports world. And I think that's a big picture a lot of individuals don't get. It's when we think sports, we think strictly, competition, but we forget about all the behind the scenes stuff. So esports, when he's saying shoutcasting, that's the equivalent of a broadcaster. You're announcing the play-by-play, you're announcing what's going on. You have journalism. So I know there's a lot of people who write articles about esports game and they can connect. Event management, they plan, coordinate, do everything to make sure the events run successfully. The students talk to us and let us know what's going on, and we can coordinate and build those communication skills so that we can help them with their career pathways.
So Chris, for our audience members who are watching and going, this is really cool, I want to get the program started at my school, where do they start, and how can LACOE support that?
So just go ahead and send us an email at ito@lacoe.edu, and we will support you in every way. We will find the resources necessary to make sure that you are successful.
And do you have any advice for people who are just getting started based on your lessons learned?
Yeah, I think, it's okay to start small, right? Well, we started with our, 4 high schools getting started with esports. It starts there. It does take a passionate educator who is excited to run an esports program and get it going. With the appropriate support and the resources, it could be a huge success. So again, don't feel bad to reach out to people who have done it, to look out and seek resources from LACOE, because it's amazing. It'll bring a lot of great opportunities to your scholars.
Yeah. And I think the big thing before anyone gets engaged is you have to remove that stigma that video game playing is all esports is, because it's way more than that. And if you invested time and look into it, you'll see that it is much, much more than video games only.
And it's really about engaging kids and getting them involved in their coursework and classes. So thank you both for joining us today. A great conversation, and thank you both for your work. Just really wonderful insights on the competitive world of video gaming and how schools can establish esports. I'm Elizabeth Grasswich. See you next time on EdBuzz.